Now, Britain has recorded its coldest January night in over 15 years as the conditions continue to freeze further. The temperature reportedly has dropped to minus 18.7 in Altenhara in the Scottish Highlands, which was the coldest overnight temperature in January since 2010. Britain has recorded its coldest January night in 15 years. The freezing conditions dropped to their lowest point of minus 15 degrees Celsius several times, including on the 8th of January when the temperature had dipped to minus 22 degrees Celsius. Now, the average low in northern Scotland for this time of the year is about 0.3 centigrade, while for England, overnight lows are about 1.5 degrees Celsius to 1.6 degrees Celsius. Now, much of Britain has endured below freezing temperatures overnight, including lows of minus 11 degrees Celsius in Shap, Cumbria, and minus 5 degrees at Heathrow. Britain's biggest gas supplier on Friday said that the United Kingdom's storage levels are concerningly low, owing to the high demand caused by the freezing weather, and after Ukraine ended the Russian gas transit to Europe. The amber warnings have been extended till the 14th of January, which indicates that health risks, particularly for those above the age of 65. Temperatures have also been forecast to drop widely to below freezing overnight in eastern areas.
Well, now we turn to the deadly wildfires in California. Crews have reported some progress in Los Angeles, but upwards of 100,000 people are still under evacuation orders. Officials have confirmed at least 11 people have died, but say it's not safe yet to assess the true total. Maribel Gonzalez has more.
Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass vowing an aggressive push to rebuild from the devastating LA County wildfires.
My office is leading the city effort to clear the way. Red tape, bureaucracy, all of it must go.
But rebuilding plans will come second to containing the blazes, which are still spreading. A red flag warning for high winds expired Friday evening, raising hopes firefighters can make headway on some of the largest fires. But the flames have already scorched a massive area, roughly the size of Miami. Authorities say upwards of 10,000 structures were likely damaged or destroyed by just 2 of the fires, and those preliminary figures could rise. Complicating rebuilding plans is California's insurance crisis. State officials say between 2020 and 2022, insurance companies declined to renew 2.8 million homeowner policies in the state, including more than 500,000 in Los Angeles County. With an eye to this, California's insurance commissioner exercised his moratorium power.
We are ready to meet this moment.
The commissioner issuing a bulletin to protect homeowners impacted by the Palisades and Eden fires from non-renewals and cancellations by insurance companies for 1 year.
My immediate goal is to make sure that we get the claims paid as quick as possible and that we get people on the road to recovery as quickly as we can.
I'm Maribel.
As wildfires continue to ravage LA, firefighters are still battling the most catastrophic wildfires the county has ever seen. At least 11 people have died. Charlie DeMar has the latest.
Firefighters brought in Chinooks to douse fierce flames racing towards Los Angeles neighborhoods. Residents facing the Palisades fire got new evacuation orders as the weekend began.
I took all of my family photos of my grandfather who's recently passed. You know, those are the only things that you can't recover, right?
Calmer winds helped firefighters gain some control of the biggest blazes on Friday, but winds are forecast to pick back up in an area that hasn't seen major rain in more than 8 months, and there's none in the forecast either.
People are watering down their homes here. You know, they're trying to get ahead of the game. People have to come together and help out, just like in the olden days.
In the heat of a fire's first moments, phone warnings are a potential lifesaver. But 10 million residents of LA County have received multiple false emergency evacuation warnings.
I want the residents of Los Angeles region to have faith. We are doing everything we can to bring the situation under control.
Californians are demanding to know who's at fault for these wildfires that have already wiped out over 12,000 structures. This as police are cracking down on looters.
The LAPD and our law enforcement partners are actively maintaining law and order in areas impacted by the fires.
National Guard troops are helping to protect property in the evacuation zone as firefighters work to battle blazes that have already destroyed 37,000 acres. Charlie DeMar, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Manhunt is underway across 2 states tonight after a toddler was mowed down in a hit and run outside his home.
The 4-year-old boy has major head injuries and was airlifted from Albury to Melbourne. Police now pleading for public help to find the ute driver responsible.
A 4-year-old boy critically injured loaded into an air ambulance. It's hard to watch, harder still to understand. Someone ran him over, then drove away.
And that vehicle failed to stop where a child has been seriously injured. We need that driver to come forward.
It happened just after 7 this morning on Dick Road at Lavington in the New South Wales Victorian border town of Albury.
Just no, and then screech of the tyres, and then Mum ran out, was just on the ground in tears. I seen a white ute pull up and just took off.
The little boy lived here, neighbours helping until paramedics took over. But his head injuries were too severe to be treated by local doctors, so he was medevaced to the Royal Children's Hospital in Melbourne. Tonight, this is the vehicle police are looking for. A white Commodore ute with black rims, last seen heading south towards the Hume Highway. There is now a major search underway both in New South Wales and Victoria to find the driver.
Whether it's he or she, that's yet to be determined.
Hoping they have a heart after such a heartless act.
A hit and run where you've left a young child on the road seriously injured, that driver needs to have a conscience and come forward.
Andrew Denny, 7 News.
Japanese police have arrested a student suspected of a hammer attack at a Tokyo university, which left several injured, according to local media. The 22-year-old South Korean sociology student was apprehended on the spot for the alleged attack during class at Hosei University, according to the Tokyo Metropolitan Police. One student told the Kyodo news agency that the suspect appeared to swing the hammer aimlessly, hitting those seated in the last row. Another student said she did not seem to be targeting anyone in particular. Police said an investigation was still ongoing.
We first brought you that story yesterday. 14-year-old Caleb Rihos was stabbed and killed while standing on a sidewalk in the Mott Haven neighborhood of the Bronx. And tonight, we're getting a look at the man who police say did it. Take a look here. Police escorted Waldo Mejia out of the 40th precinct today. He is accused of killing Rihos. News 4's Brittany Miller live in Mott Haven tonight with what we're learning about him tonight. And Brittany, when police tracked him down, they say officers made a disturbing discovery.
That's right. Caleb Rihos was a good student and a high school football player. Police say he was on his way to school Friday when he was stabbed in an unprovoked attack. Now, tonight, that suspect is in custody. Police say he was still carrying a bloody knife when they arrested him just after midnight. Waldo Mejia yelling profanities at reporters this afternoon.
And I'm a beat like a when I catch him.
Police say Mejia stabbed an innocent 14-year-old Caleb Rihos to death Friday morning.
This is tragic for this family. This is tragic for his classmates. This is tragic for the people of the Bronx and for the city of New York.
Police say Rihos was on his way to Bronx Leadership Academy when Mejia approached him and repeatedly stabbed him.
You know, he called his father and told his father that he couldn't breathe and that he was scared. And his father heard him dying.
Rihos ran from his attacker and fell between two cars. Good Samaritans rushed in to help.
Several New Yorkers come to his aid, and they flagged down a passing EMS ambulance.
Rios died at the hospital. Police had been looking for Mejia. He was also wanted for a January 5th subway stabbing. A transit cop recognized Mejia from a wanted poster.
We were able to quickly conclude that these two incidents were connected, unprovoked, and committed by the same suspect.
Mejia has a history of mental illness, arrested 4 times since 2015. The 29-year-old most recently arrested in November.
Mr. Mejia was arrested for stabbing another victim's Ring camera with a kitchen knife. And importantly, was released on his own recognizance the very next day.
Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch calling on the court system to do more.
A city is in mourning, and the systems that we have in place to deal with repeat offenders and individuals with severe mental health issues continue to fail us.
Right now, Mejia is facing several charges. The Bronx DA says there could be additional charges for that subway stabbing. We are live in the Mott Haven section of the Bronx tonight. Brittany Miller, News 4 New York.
Focus to India now, where an 8-year-old girl studying in class 3rd has died of a suspected cardiac arrest in her school. The girl, identified as Gargi Ranpara, collapsed in Zebra School for Children located in Thaltij area in India's Gujarat state. Police officials have now launched a probe into the matter to find the exact cause and reason behind her death. According to the principal of the school, the child was normal when she came to school. However, she started feeling uneasy on her way to the classroom, after which she fell unconscious.
The girl felt unconscious after she sat on a chair in the lobby while going towards her classroom in the morning. The teachers made her lie down and tried to make her feel comfortable. She was feeling breathless, so they did CPR on her. But seeing her situation, we called 108 and then took her to the hospital immediately.
Emergency situation देखकर हमने 108 पे कॉल किया. In the CCTV video shared by the school management, Gargi could be seen walking in the lobby and going towards her classroom. But on her way, she sits on a chair in the lobby due to uneasiness. Later, she can be seen sliding from the chair after getting unconscious. The latest incident is the second case in 2 days that children have died due to cardiac arrests. Earlier this week, an 8-year-old schoolgirl collapsed and passed away due to cardiac arrest in Chamaraja Nagar, which is located 160 kilometers away from Bengaluru. Last year in November, a 14-year-old boy from a village in Aligarh died due to heart attack while practicing for a sports competition at his school. Now, all these recent tragic incidents have caused a growing concern about cardiac arrest in young children, especially those under the age of 10. According to experts, while cardiac death is rare in children, estimates show that at least 1 to 3 cases per 100,000 children have been reported. Despite thorough evaluations and diagnostic efforts, about half of all cases of sudden cardiac arrest, they remain unexplained. Notably, these events often occur in children who appeared completely normal beforehand. Hence, it's pertinent to take note of some warning signs like unexplained fatigue, shortness of breath, chest pain, dizziness, rapid heartbeat, and difficulty in keeping up with their peers.
Out of France, where dozens of people have been injured after 2 trams collided.
9 Europe correspondent Hannah Sinclair joins us now live. Hannah, what more can you tell us?
Good morning, guys. Well, the horror tram crash unfolded in Strasbourg and prompted a major emergency response. Footage shows people lifting open the doors of a tram to try and free passengers, as others can be seen on the ground hurt. People can be heard screaming as smoke filled the underground station after the accident. There were dozens of people on the trams at the time, and in footage you can see the front of one and the back of the other smashed to pieces. Emergency crews say the incident could have been much worse, and thankfully most people's injuries are just minor or they are simply in shock. Authorities are investigating the cause of the crash and whether one of the trams accidentally switched tracks.
Romy specializes in small talk. So when you just want to have a conversation partner, or if you had a rough day, you could say anything you'd like to Romy, and Romy will respond in kind. Many people who are elderly, they don't have anyone to talk to, so they never speak to anyone. And Romy becomes a conversation partner for them. So Romy is used in many nursing homes around Japan.
Las Vegas, our 30th year covering the Consumer Electronics.
Jenny is designed to sit on a user's lap comfortably. She's quite flat underneath so that she can rest comfortably on a person's lap for hours at a time. And the idea is that she treats the behavioral and psychological symptoms of dementia really by providing comfort and companionship round the clock.
Moving on, Japan and Indonesia are on the verge of a landmark agreement to co-develop a warship for Indonesian Navy. According to reports, the design of the warship could be drawn on the advanced destroyers of Japan's maritime self-defense forces to meet Indonesia's defense needs. Discussions on the project began several years ago, but stalled under Indonesia's former president, Joko Widodo, as his government focused on domestic issues. A ban on the export of domestically built warships under Japanese defense policies was a major challenge. But Japan and Indonesia have said they will circumvent the restrictions by jointly developing warships. The first vessel was expected to be built in a Japanese shipyard. According to experts, the collaboration signals Tokyo's shift towards more strategic partnerships with Southeast Asian nations facing territorial disputes with Beijing. Both nationals have territorial disputes with China. The controversy with Jakarta involves the Natuna Islands at the furthest reach of the South China Sea, while feud with Tokyo centers on the Diaoyu Islands in the East China Sea, which Japan controls and refers to as the Senkakus.
Look, a day after saying he wouldn't rule out using military force to take over Greenland and the Panama Canal, Trump has said that he won't rule out using economic force to take over Canada.
Are you also considering military force to annex and acquire Canada?
No, economic force, because Canada and the United States, that would really be something.
And now Trump supporters are pushing him to seize control of another country closer to home, ours. This tweet from conservative US journalist Chadwick Moore was retweeted thousands of times. It said, "I don't want to give Trump any more ideas, but these guys don't have guns anymore." And the responses included enthusiasm for the idea from some Australians to remind us that we are the country that produced ray gun. Look, Joe, I would take Trump over Albanese any day. I know you won't agree with me there. Why not? But I have to say, I do hate this idea that we are somehow poorer in Australia because of our gun laws. I mean, the US is obviously a very different place to us with its right to bear arms, but I think most Australians would agree the fact we have far less shootings here makes us a better place.
Not when America invades us and makes us its 53rd
But the military still has the arms. I think they need to realise they still have guns.
Remember when New Zealand basically got rid of all its military and everyone in Australia just went, right, we're doing the rounds, and, it had some poor little guy sitting in a dinghy, with a little water pistol. This was the New Zealand Coast Guard. I just love this all so much. I love the fact that, you know, Donald Trump in the grab we showed there said, are you seriously, seriously saying we're going to take over Canada and make it our 51st state using military force? And Trump goes, no, not military force, economic force. And I was like, oh, right, he's absolutely serious. Fantastic. And it's just hilarious. And that is actually the same way I feel about our brothers and sisters in New Zealand, because I reckon Australia and New Zealand should become the one country of Australasia, and we could all share in the bounties of, you know, whatever it is New Zealand has to offer, and our stuff too. We'd be bigger. We've got sheep, that's right.
Sheep.
We eat them in Australia, but, you know, that's fine. We can have that cultural...
Don't go there. We're at a much earlier time
Good
slot
wine.
of 8 p.m. tonight, Joe, not the usual 10 o'clock for those kinds of sheep jokes. Louise, should we become the 53rd US state, as some people are saying?
Look, it's a nice idea, but it was clearly a joke. But what I thought was interesting was the take-up it got. A lot of people were very enthusiastic about more American involvement with Australia. And look, I'm all for strengthening ties with Trump, obviously, as you are too. So, but yeah, actually becoming 53rd state, probably not.
Well, so Canada, Greenland, then us.
Yes, and Panama as well.
And Canada,
yeah.
I thought he was just wanted the water in Panama. He wants the whole lot.
It sounds like it. Okay. Who knows? Who honestly knows? Make Australia great again, I say.
Nearly every day, more names of fallen victims are released. How much more blood will be spilt for Netanyahu's personal interests? How much more blood will be spilled for delusional messianic beliefs at the expense of the lives of our hostages and our soldiers?
I really truly hope that President Trump will have an influence on our Prime Minister, and I hope really that he can bring this war to an end. And it's time. The people of Israel want this government to go. We want this end to war, the war to end, and we need the hostages home.
This morning, Border Patrol agents found a man-made tunnel connecting Juarez in Mexico to El Paso, Texas. This is according to U.S. Customs and Border Protection. The tunnel had lighting, ventilation, and wood bracing. It's approximately 6 feet tall and 4 feet wide. It's now under investigation with the FBI, El Paso CBP, El Paso's Police Department, Texas Department of Public Safety, the Mexican government, and the U.S. Consulate General.
U.S. and U.K. have imposed sweeping sanctions against Russia's energy sector over its invasion of Ukraine. And U.S. President Joe Biden has said that Russian President Vladimir Putin is now in a tough shape.
Putin's in tough shape right now. And I think it's really important that he not have any breathing room to continue to do the god-awful things he's continuing to do.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has praised the United States for introducing the sanctions, saying that the measures deliver a major blow to Moscow's war machine by disrupting its entire supply chain. The U.S. Treasury Department has designated more than 180 ships as well as 2 Russian oil majors, saying it fulfills the G7 commitment to reduce Russian revenues from energy. At the same time, the UK government has announced sanctions against the 2 oil companies, saying that their profits were lining Putin's war chest and helping the war in Ukraine. Even before the sanctions were officially announced, the Kremlin reacted to the anticipated move, accusing the Biden administration of trying to leave the incoming president, Donald Trump, the most toxic legacy possible. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said that Biden is perhaps determined to use his final days in power to ensure the war in Ukraine continues. Peskov also said that President Vladimir Putin is open to talks with Trump. And this comes after the president-elect said that a meeting between the pair was being set up. Trump is set to take office on January 20th, and he has vowed to bring a swift end to the nearly 3-year-long conflict between Russia and Ukraine.
And after Kyiv cut off gas shipments from Russia through its pipeline, Vladimir Putin eyes other options for transporting gas. Take a look at this next report as we dive into Moscow's plan to shield the country from financial damage. Take a look.
Putin says the country has options to export gas after Ukraine route is shut off by Kiev. The Kremlin seeks alternatives for pipeline gas shipments. Russia intends to divert pipeline gas to other customers such as China and increased liquefied natural gas exports. Despite calls to ban such supplies, Europe is still buying a record amount of super-chilled fuel from Russia. The volumes had surpassed what Russia was selling through Ukraine before January 1st, when Kiev closed off the 5-decade-old route through its territory. Ukraine's decision comes as the country refused to allow any more transit that funds Moscow's war machine. Russia has been an increasingly important supplier of goods to Europe over the past decade. The latest purchases show how difficult it is for the region to sever connections with Russia. Russia plans to triple LNG exports by 2035 despite sanctions. Last month, Putin said that he will continue to increase Russia's share on world LNG markets even as sanctions aim to halt this growth. He also expressed confidence that Russian gas giant Gazprom would survive the end of pipeline transport through Ukraine. The closure of the Ukraine pipeline highlights how Russia has had to continuously adapt its commercial network since their invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. However, Moscow has demonstrated that there are frequently alternative avenues available to Russia even when one market shuts. Ship tracking data shows Russia's LNG exports overall reached a record last year. Slovakia has taken the biggest hit from the Ukraine pipeline closure. The country is heavily reliant on Russian gas and its earnings from transit fees. Slovakia is set to lose 0.3% of its GDP as a result. For Russia, though, the plans are clear. Forecasts indicate that shipments to China would reach about 31 billion cubic meters in 2024. Beijing is projected to surpass Europe as the largest market for Russian pipeline gas. With the Power of Siberia connection operating at full capacity, they are expected to reach 38 billion cubic meters this year. This route is forecast to make up for half of the volumes lost from Ukraine's pipeline closure. Gazprom also looks to increase sales through Turkey-Russia gas pipeline Turkstream, which runs under the Black Sea and supplies to some European customers. Russia plans to redirect some fuel to countries in Central Asia. The country aims to increase the capacity of a Soviet-era pipeline from Russia to Uzbekistan through Kazakhstan. Russia seeks to triple LNG exports to 100 million tons in 2035 from last year's 33 million tons. However, Western sanctions on all key future projects and the LNG tanker fleet complicate Moscow's plans. Business Bureau, WION, World is One.